He meant everything to me in ways I never knew how to explain out loud. Not because he promised the world, but because he made me believe I already had it. Our love didn't begin loudly. It grew quietly, naturally, like something that didn't need proof. Every conversation felt easy. Every silence felt safe. I believed that kind of love was rare, and once you found it, you held on forever. I built my days around him without realizing it. My happiness slowly learned his name. When something good happened, he was the first person I wanted to tell. When something hurt, his voice was the place I rested. He didn't have to say, "I'll stay." I felt it in the way he listened, the way he remembered small details, the way he once said, "You don't have to worry with me." And I believed him. Love, to me, was loyalty. It was choosing one person every day, even on the days when choosing felt heavy. I gave him that without hesitation. I adjusted my expectations, softened my boundaries, and convinced myself that compromise was the same as understanding. I told myself love meant patience. Love meant trust. Love meant not asking too many questions. So I didn't. I ignored the moments that felt slightly off. The delayed replies. The distracted conversations. The way his laughter didn't reach me the way it used to. I told myself people get busy. Feelings settle. Love matures. I believed silence was normal, as long as he was still there. But love doesn't disappear all at once. It fades in pieces. Still, I held on to the memory of who he was when he chose me completely. I held on to the version of us that felt unbreakable. I believed that if I loved harder, waited longer, stayed quieter, everything would return to the way it was. I didn't realize that while I was holding on to love, he was slowly letting go. Our love didn't end with a fight. It didn't end with a goodbye. It ended with distance, soft, slow, and almost invisible. He was still there, but not fully. His words became shorter. His attention became divided. And I became someone who waited. I waited for replies. I waited for reassurance. I waited for the version of him that used to choose me without thinking. Every time I felt something was wrong, I talked myself out of it. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself love wasn't supposed to feel exciting forever. I told myself silence didn't mean absence. But deep down, I felt it, something was missing, and it wasn't small. He stopped asking about my day. He stopped noticing when my voice changed. I could feel the shift, but I couldn't name it yet. And naming it felt dangerous, because once you name something, you have to face it. So I stayed quiet. I became careful with my words, afraid that asking for more would push him further away. I convinced myself that being understanding meant being invisible. I gave him space, not realizing I was slowly disappearing from his priorities. The silence between us grew heavier, but he never explained it. And I never demanded answers. Love had taught me to trust him. Fear taught me not to question. What I didn't know was that while I was protecting our relationship, he was sharing parts of himself with someone else. While I was waiting for him to come back emotionally, he had already left. The betrayal didn't announce itself. It hid behind excuses, behind tiredness, behind nothing's wrong. And I believed every word, because believing him felt safer than imagining the truth. But silence has a sound. And eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. The truth didn't come from him. It never does. It came quietly, cruelly, in a way that made everything suddenly make sense. The distance. The silence. The way he looked through me instead of at me. He didn't deny it when I finally asked. That hurt more than the betrayal itself. There was no dramatic confession. No apology that felt complete. Just explanations that sounded rehearsed and excuses that blamed time, circumstances, and confusion. He said it just happened. He said he didn't mean to hurt me. He said he still cared. But caring doesn't betray. And love doesn't choose someone else. I realized then that while I was loving him deeply, he was living a double truth. One where I existed in comfort, and another where he found excitement elsewhere. And in that realization, something inside me broke, not loudly, but completely. The silence I once feared became permanent. I questioned everything. I questioned my worth. I questioned every memory, wondering which moments were real and which were lies. I wondered how someone could hold your hand while slowly letting you go. He said he was sorry. But sorry didn't undo the damage. Sorry didn't bring back the version of me who trusted without fear. Infidelity doesn't just break relationships. It breaks the way you understand love. It teaches you that loyalty isn't guaranteed, even when you give everything. And in that moment, I understood something painful. He didn't just cheat on me, he replaced me emotionally long before I ever knew. When he left, the silence stayed. But this time, it wasn't empty, it was honest. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for someone who had already chosen to walk away. Healing didn't come quickly. It came slowly, in moments where I stopped blaming myself. In moments where I realized loving deeply was never my weakness. Trusting wasn't my mistake. Staying loyal wasn't something to regret. The mistake was believing silence meant peace. I learned that love should never make you feel invisible. That loyalty should never be one-sided. And that someone who truly values you will never make you question your place in their life. He once meant everything to me. But everything I loved turned quiet because it was never protected. And in that quiet, I found myself again. Not the version of me that waited. Not the version that stayed silent. But the version that knew her worth, even after being forgotten. Some loves don't end loudly. They fade into silence. And sometimes, that silence is the closure we never knew we needed.